All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Jorge's Isolation Podcast. I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for joining me today. Yesterday was my birthday. I'm 38 years old, and I feel a little older. I feel a little wiser, and I feel like this is going to be a great year. I really and truly do, despite everything that's been happening. And here in the good old US of A. Donald Trump was in my hometown today earlier, giving a speech at the border wall. So, no one or nothing happened, thankfully. But today, speaking of border walls, I have my friend Ivan Zapata joining me from Mexico
How you
and
doing, brother?
Mexico City. How you doing?
All good, man. All good. Can you hear me? I just changed the
Oh my,
microphone. I don't know
you
if
did,
I
and
don't know if it's working.
the sound quality is perfect, dude.
Oh, that's awesome. See,
It's amazing.
already, I'm ready here.
Yeah, dude. Like
It's that Watch Mojo vibe. I need to be ready at all times.
oh, dude, we're gonna talk about that because that's the one. It's seriously.
I have everything open right now. Like I have the tour ready right now. So
That is so amazing. See, this is the high tech stuff. I am not a high tech guy. You can obviously, if you watch like the earlier episodes, like the first
Yeah.
episodes of my podcast, the quality is just it's so awful. I was using an older laptop, then that laptop crashed, and I used another laptop. And so slowly but surely, the production value will hopefully get a little bit better. But like
All in due
you've
time,
already,
man. All in due
uh,
time. It doesn't need to happen right now. You're
yeah,
getting there. You're getting there.
yeah. So Iman, we met like uh,
A long
12,
time
11,
ago.
like
Yeah,
11, 12 years ago. And you were dating
probably.
a cousin of mine
Yeah. At some point, yeah.
at some point, years and years ago.
We
And
met in McAllen. Like one, you didn't even live in McAllen at that
no,
point. You were living
no,
somewhere else. You hadn't married Rosa yet, and like
no.
it was like crazy.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy. And we kept in touch because we bonded over movies.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, let me tell you this. This is a fun fact for everybody listening or watching. You introduced me to Tom Hardy. I had no clue who Tom
Yeah.
Hardy was, and the way we bonded, the way we got into like really getting along was we are talking about the Dark Knight and
Rises.
Dark Knight
Yeah.
Rises, and because we're talking about the Dark Knight, and then you started talking about the Dark Knight Rises, and he's like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Tom Hardy, this guy, Tom Hardy's gonna be playing." I'm like, "Who is Tom Hardy?" And he's like, "No, you have to watch Bronson. You have to
Yeah.
watch that movie."
How
And
did that
so
go?
blew my mind. I was like,
Right.
"Who is
Right.
that? Luton. Luton's where it's at." It's like I love
Yeah.
that movie, and then you know, Tom Hardy ended up becoming Tom Hardy.
And dude, yeah. I
You
mean,
called
it's
that way before Tom Hardy was famous.
and he's a really cool. He's like a rabbit hole kind of thing because you watch
Mhm.
one Tom Hardy movie and there
Yeah,
you're like, what else does this guy do? So you go into Warrior and then you go
yeah,
into something. I don't know. You just keep
yeah,
going, dude. I'm in awe of that guy. He is
yeah.
really good at what he does.
Oh yeah, man. Like it I had just missed him. So my grad school, here's a fun fact too. My grad school was right next to Labyrinth Theater in New
Cool.
York
Okay.
City. So I got to see Phil Hoffman that week that he passed. Like I saw
Okay.
him every day because he was directing. The very last thing he directed was a play there
Hmm.
at the Labyrinth. And actually, I went there with my buddy Raul Castillo because my friend Raul Castillo is part of Labyrinth.
Cool.
And keep an eye out for him. Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder. It's coming out.
Really
Yeah,
nice.
he's yeah. He came out in like the trailer and everything.
Yeah.
But this is before like Raul hit his stride, and we went to the show, and that was like the Phil Hoffman thing. But Tom Hardy had been going to Labyrinth, just a little bit before I started going to school there, so I just missed seeing him by just like a
Oh
year or
wow.
two. So that would have been cool. Back when he was like skinny Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
What was that?
Star Trek. Tom
Yes.
Hardy. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Like Band of
Young
Brothers.
Picard. Young Picard's.
Yeah. What was that? He did another movie, wasn't it, with Benedict Cumberbatch,
I think so.
where they were like druggies?
Damn. I don't know. Look, it's a good thing we have computers right here.
Yeah, dude.
Let me look it up. But yeah, I mean, what else do you see after Bronson from Tom Hardy when you got in there?
So when it was Tom Hardy, it was Bronson, but then Warrior had
Yeah.
just come out. So
Yeah.
now I saw that, and then man, then he just hit like a snowball after the Dark Knight Rises. What did he
because
do?
he went to here. Let me. I got it right here.
He was in a movie with
He's
Chris
done
Pine
so
too,
much. Yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, I know that one. Hold on, hold on.
and Reese Witherspoon.
We have. He's done so fucking much. Star Trek Nemesis, Black
Yeah,
Hawk Down. He was in Black Hawk Down. I mean,
yeah,
everyone was
yeah,
in Black Hawk Down, but yeah, he
yeah,
was Twombly in Black Hawk Down. He got shot in the leg. He was in
yeah.
Band of Brothers.
I
He
remember Band of
was
Brothers.
in Layer Cake. He got into what
Was he
else
in
did he
Rock
have?
and Rolla?
Yeah, he was in Rock and Rolla. He was in
Yeah,
Rock and
yeah.
Rolla.
I
Yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
that. See, I didn't know that
He was
that was
about to
Tom
go.
Hardy.
He was in a lot before we knew it was Tom Hardy. For example,
Yeah,
Band of Brothers, like
yeah,
Band of Brothers and Black Hawk Down. Like,
yeah,
dude, who else was in Black Hawk Down? Eric Bana was in Black Hawk
yeah.
Down, and
Well, Josh Hartnett, but Josh
Orlando
Hartnett's
Bloom. Yeah,
Orlando
Orlando
Bloom was
Bloom
in
was
it.
a yeah. He was in Black Hawk Down. He was in
Oh my,
Black
I
Hawk
gotta
Down.
rewatch that.
Yeah, you bet. Rock and Rolla, Bronson, Thick
Yeah,
as Thieves, Inception, Tinker
yeah.
Tailor, Soldier Spy,
Soldier Spy.
Warrior.
Yeah, I remember
This means
that.
war. This means war
That's the one with the
with
Chris
Chris
Pine.
Pine. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lawless with Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. That's where he got in a fight with Shia in real
Yeah,
life.
yeah, 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 yeah. He got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah,
Locke. Have you seen Locke?
that's one of my favorte movies,
You need to
and it
check.
just
Yeah,
shows you
yeah,
what. If you have not seen this, you're watching this, you're listening to this. Go watch Locke, Locke,
yep.
and it's a one man movie in a car
In a
for
car.
85 minutes about, and it is brilliant. It's so good.
Yeah, none of this phone booth with Colin Farrell thing. No, no,
No,
no. This is really good. This is one situation,
yeah.
one guy. Everything's like over the phone or himself,
In a
and
car.
it's beautiful. And it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah, so that's
Revenant, Legend,
a Revenant. Yeah, that legend.
Dunkirk,
Oh
Venom.
yeah, he was. I love that at the very end of Dunkirk.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
The fucking they love having him in a mask is this Chris
yeah,
Nolan thing that he always needs to have Tom Hardy
yes.
in a mask or something.
That's
The
right.
best one, the
was
best one is
Bane.
obviously
Bane.
Mad Max Fury Road, which
Fury
is
Road. Yeah,
damn.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
that
still
movie
going.
was so good. Yeah, he's still going. He's got more coming out. But yeah, so we started bonding over movies, and
Yeah,
and then the breakups happen, and I'm not
shit happens.
territorial.
It
Yeah,
does. Yeah,
it does happen. But what have you been up to? I know you work production, right?
yeah, yeah. I've been working production for a long time right now. It's maybe about 11, 12 years, something like that.
Mhm.
Small stuff, maybe a lot of corporate stuff here in Mexico. A couple of commercials, nothing too big, but mainly digital. The bulk of my career was doing digital content for a
Mhm.
news channel here in Mexico called Uno TV.
Mhm.
They do a lot of news stuff and like YouTube content.
Yeah.
So that's where I got my stripes. Like digital content is my main thing,
Yeah.
right now, and that's exactly what brought me to where I am right now, working with Watch Mojo Espanol. If you don't know Watch Mojo, it's this like huge YouTube channel where they do top
Huge.
tens and top fives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm in the Espanol division, which is mainly lists, but in like Spanish. So that's where I am right now, and I'm really happy for this job. I just got it during during the pandemic. I had already worked with them because I assembled the team that's working on Miss Mojo Espanol here in Mexico.
Mhm.
I set up that team. That one took off really, really well. And then I was left without a job and I called them back. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you got anything for me? And they're like, yeah, come on. And I'm doing a little voiceover and a little production for them right now. Yeah.
Really? So you do the videos, like do you, like production, like do you round up the list, or how does the whole like process with them go?
I
Because
mean,
I get
if we go for specifics, Watch Mojo Espanol right now doesn't have a lot of original content. We translate most of the content that's already on the English channel,
okay.
and we bring it to Spanish, and we do the voiceovers in Spanish and stuff like that. We're gonna start doing our original content soon. We're working on that, which is really really fun. And we have a lot we have a lot going for there because we're gonna start talking regional and start talking telenovelas and reality shows from Latin America and Latin movies, Latin directors and stuff like that. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Apart from that, we're gonna start developing a podcast. There's a lot of projects right there. But if we want to go to the main channel, the main Watch Mojo channel, it's really really interesting because it became a user or a viewer based content
Yeah.
early on because everyone runs out of ideas. Everyone runs out of ideas. But if you go into watchmojo.com, if you go into the website, there is actually a tab that says suggest, and there's a table there where people can suggest ideas. They can look up if anybody else has suggested an idea, and you can vote on the general ideas that people are uploading. So if you
Wow.
think of, oh, top 10 best directors for weird sci-fi or for B movie sci-fi,
Hmm.
there's probably a list on there. If there isn't, you can suggest it and you could have people vote on there. From there, you go into something we call a content matrix. A content matrix is just a place for the Watch Mojo team to go to look at the ideas and to start um, kind of looking into what they can talk about for a list. And then from there you start voting on positions, on subjects, on whatever you want, how they're going to get organized, if who's going to go on top 10, who's going to go on the 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
And then you go into production, and it's a lot of work because
It looks like a
these,
lot of work.
like the editors, they watch so many movies and so many shows just to find, that one exact line that they need to
Yeah.
showcase that idea. And it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. But
Yeah,
it's
because I,
a lot of work.
for like I thought about at some point, because there's a lot of like lists,
Yeah,
that YouTube
yeah, yeah,
channel that
yeah,
they work off the list, like top 5 horror movies or top 5 Lovecraftian books or like
yeah.
monsters or whatever. And like just Watch Mojo in particular uses actual clips from all these movies.
Yeah.
So you have to like, do you have to license those things, or how does
There,
that even work?
yeah.
Because I
There's
thought about doing it, but
there's
I always get scared of getting like shut down or my video taken down. This
yeah.
happened with
I
my
mean,
reel before.
copyright notices are an everyday thing. Copyright notices are an everyday thing, but there are workarounds. There is something that you can use clips from whatever you need for entertainment purposes
Hmm.
and for informative purposes, and you can. It's a nice workaround for all the copyright because you're actually delivering content like these people's content, right? So there
Yeah.
is a workaround for that, and you're not using whole clips, and you have to respect certain times. You can only use, like, I don't know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that. So there are workarounds, but it's an everyday uphill battle for copyright. I mean, anything that's anime, for example,
Yeah.
everything gets flagged, everything gets demonetized, everything gets taken down.
Yeah.
But there are ways to fight. There are ways to fight it. And I mean, if people out there want to make their channel, there are ways to like upload and stuff like that. You can look at reaction channels, and they
Hmm.
usually have it down to a T. They know exactly what they have to do. They know exactly how to do it. They need to blur out a little bit of a clip. They don't have the whole show on or the whole movie on, and they put a logo over the video and leave it in the little corner right there. So
Yeah.
there are workarounds for everything that's like copyright related. But yeah. I mean, it's all trial and error basically. Because,
Yeah.
for example, in Watch Mojo Espanol, it's been a while since we've done music. For example,
Yeah.
music lists, because it's, oh dude, the pain in the ass sometimes is just not worth it. It's
Yeah.
just not worth it. It's like, oh god, again with these guys, and they're not
Yeah.
letting us use the music or use the videos, and they keep blocking and they keep blocking. You know what? We're not doing music anymore for now. Let's leave it at that, and let's just keep focus on movies or television. Because it's usually free advertising for these people, so
Yeah.
they get that, and YouTube gets that. So there are nice workarounds for that.
Oh, so you saying that like music, like artists are a little bit more difficult to work around
Yeah,
than
it's
the
it,
movies
yeah, it's not usually the artist. It's usually
label?
the label. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
usually the label or the distributor. Whoever they are. It's usually them because you use parts of the video or parts of the song and stuff like that, and they really, really take care of that, especially on a platform like YouTube, because the YouTube changed policy I think it was a couple of years ago, where even background music gets
Yeah.
flagged. Even
Yeah.
if you start humming a song, it's gonna get flagged.
Yeah.
So it gets hard. it gets hard and hard and hard. You're like, it's not even worth it. I mean, that's for the Espanol channel, but for like the main Mojo channel, they still do music. They still do a lot of stuff that keeps working, but it goes down. It goes down a little bit because
Yeah.
you just don't want that pain in the ass, really.
No, I can imagine because if I listen to like Joe Rogan, like if they're gonna play just a little clip,
Yeah,
um, they usually edit that out of the actual audio version of the
yeah,
podcast, or they just don't show it, or like they ignore it on YouTube. And that's one of those things. Like I had I put up my acting reel once,
yeah,
and it was flagged because it wasn't authorized. It's like I'm in every single one of these, but this belongs to Warner or this belongs to Universal, and it's kind of like, oh,
yeah,
come on,
yeah,
how
yeah,
else am I going to
yeah, yeah,
show myself, my pretty face, if people aren't watching all my TV shows? So yeah, dude, it's I can see how that'd be a pain because man, there's a lot of work. Because
yeah,
if anybody has ever watched one of these things, because so when Rosa would travel for work,
yeah,
um, once a month or once every like 2 months, and she'd be gone for a whole weekend, and I would fall down rabbit holes of Watch Mojo. This rabbit holes, just top 5 acting performances, top 10 actors that you don't want to work with ever again, or
yeah,
top this, top like, and it's just one thing, and they just do such a perfect job of at the end, it leads you to like almost like the same. You have so much content that it's like the same kind of video, but like
yeah,
maybe the opposite. Like there's top 10 actors everyone wants to work with, and then the next video you see a little square pop up. It's like top 10 actors nobody wants to work
yeah.
with. And I'm like, I want to know who no one wants to work with. I might have to work with them one day. And then it just goes on and on and on. I'm like, that is a lot of work. It's
And I
just
think,
you have to
yeah,
have a team.
a
Like
team,
how
dude.
big is a team? Like
There
for
are
one
a lot
video,
of
how many
people,
people,
man.
how many hands are in one video?
There's, let's say, for example, I mean, at the minimum, because they can. There's a lot of departments, so they
Yeah.
can go, and there's a lot of freelancers and stuff like that. For, let's say, for example, for one video, you have your content matrix, which is basically an all hands on deck kind of thing, because
Hmm.
people like shoot ideas all the time, and the emails we get are like, okay, dudes, I need help with this list. What are your thoughts on this? And
Hmm.
everybody pitches in, and then after that, it goes to a scriptwriter, and that scriptwriter organizes everything into a top, and
Yeah.
then everybody votes on that, or like the channel managers and the creative people's vote on that, and then from there you can develop the whole thing and the whole script and the whole, like, the reasoning behind each one of the tops, of the places, and then you go into b-roll, and you have to find every clip, and you have to find every single like an old 80s commercial from,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, someplace in like Wichita, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
find it, and they find it somewhere, and they put it up there. And then after that, it just goes through a series of like, just like, green lights, green light, green light, and then it goes out. But it there are a couple of people involved in there.
I would imagine, especially like when you do say they have to find those old commercials, because some of
Yeah.
those top 10 lists are, actor commercials actors have done,
Yeah.
throughout their career. And I've done commercials within the last 5 years. And there's a couple I cannot find anywhere
Anywhere.
myself.
Yeah.
There's like a Tribeca film commercial, a Tribeca Film Festival commercial, where it was
Yeah.
kind of like this the commercial concept was this game where you can put yourself into the movie.
Yeah.
And so like I did the Sixth Sense, like I see dead people, and it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're actors, but we're like people walking in the street seeing this thing, and we're putting ourselves in the movie. It's the Tribeca
Yeah. Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't find that commercial anywhere now. I had it on another hard drive, and that hard drive crashed, and now I can't find it anywhere. And I
Damn,
guarantee
man.
you, someone in Watch Mojo, if I were ever to become famous, like Tom Hardy
Yeah.
famous, someone will find it. I guarantee you,
Yeah,
because y'all
dude,
find
I am convinced.
everything,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
everything.
Like, that's one thing I always tell my the upper ones, the upper echelons of Watch Mojo. I'm
Hmm.
always going on about like the value of Watch Mojo right now, not the monetary value, but the
Yeah,
cultural and the pop culture value of Watch Mojo right now is really up there, man, because they're a repository and they're a library for so much pop culture. If you want to
Yes.
learn about absolutely anything, like history wise or music wise or movie wise, you
Hmm.
go onto Watch Mojo, you type it in, you're going to find it. You're going to
Yeah.
find it. You're going to go down that rabbit hole and you're going to find best movies from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way to the 2000s. And then this actor, what did he do again on this side? You're going to find all this stuff and all this information. So, the pop culture value that Watch Mojo has right now is it's really crazy. It's really
Yeah.
crazy, and I'm talking as a fan, not even as a guy who works there. I'm talking as a
Yeah.
fan because they talk about a lot of stuff, and uh, they're continually upgrading and they're continually like, okay, what's hot right now? Okay, anime. All right, what can we do with anime? Well, there's a
Hmm.
bunch of animes that don't even they don't even come out in the states. They're only like known in Japan or something like
Yeah.
that. Fine, dude. If there's somebody out there who likes it, let's include it. Let's put it in there and let's see what we can do with it. But it works. It works. And most of the time it works, at least.
No, it really and truly does. And what I love about Watch Mojo is that it's not kind of like a what do you call it, like a gossip rag, like,
Yeah.
it's nothing about that. It's, when I say that there's like top 10 actors, that people don't want to work with, you find out the backstory as to why,
Yeah.
and for me, I'm an actor, and these are just certain behaviors or certain things to look out for. Like, I honestly, I really do use that as a tool,
Yeah.
to just, like you said, like, you learn history, or even movies you forgot existed, or you just forgot that you watched, and it's just like, oh, I want to go back and watch that. And they're like
Yeah.
certain facts, like they have like things to look out for in these movies, and like how this person went here, and it's like, holy man, like this person started out in this movie and now they're over
Exactly.
here. It's just it's really, really, really informative. Like,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
informative is an understatement.
look,
It truly is.
just doing voiceover for a couple of videos. Last time I was doing like a kaiju video,
Yeah.
like old Japanese monster movies.
Yeah.
My watch list just went nuts with kaiju movies. I'm like, I need to watch every single one of these.
Yeah.
Godzilla and the Island of Monsters. I have no idea what this is, but it looks really fun. So let's watch that.
Yeah.
And all of like your watch list goes really crazy when you start watching Watch Mojo videos because you're like, I didn't know this movie existed. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. I want to catch these secret scenes or Easter eggs from 80s movies about
Yeah.
fucking I don't know, Marvel. You're like,
Yeah.
I had no idea. So you go back and you rewatch everything, and yeah, it's really cool. It's really really cool.
Well, speaking, like, before we even started recording, we are talking about how Disney went on that tear for that 2 days,
Yeah,
announcing all the Marvel, 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 and Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. One of the top 10 lists on Watch Mojo, I think, was like failed attempts at Marvel films.
yeah,
And you see how, like, what Marvel has accomplished,
yeah.
with, the Avengers and Iron Man, and this whole, like, what, 15 years,
Yeah, right
like,
now I think
it's
it's
just
2008 was the first one. Yeah,
it's just so long. So it's like, what, so 12 years. And what they were able to accomplish with this phase, up to Infinity War and Endgame,
yeah,
I don't think it'll ever be done again. But you see all the misses, like the old Spider-Man they tried to do, and that Iron Man that was awful in like 1990,
Captain
or the Captain
America. Yeah,
America, it was awful. And who would have thought that at that point, because they'd already cast Marvel out. Like, did
yeah,
no one they just gave up on making Marvel films
yeah.
until like the X-Men came out, and then, they saw some
Little
success.
glimmers of hope. Yeah,
Yeah, and Blade, you have to say, like, Blade was the first
exactly.
big Marvel film, the
Yeah,
success for them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so it's really interesting to see, like, okay, like, it's not, you know, Liam Hemsworth, and Robert Downey Jr., who first did this. There was a lot of failures,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
beforehand
yeah.
to come to that. And like, that's, like I said, a ton of historical film information, even TV series information
Yeah.
with all that. It's so fascinating. Like, it's just so fascinating.
It is. It is. I mean, if you really want to learn a lot of stuff, because it's like I said, it's not only movies and TV. You can go into history, and there's a lot of history on there, and mysteries and science. One of my
Mhm.
favorite videos I've done so far,
Yeah.
it's top 10. I think it was top 10 space discoveries
Yeah.
of the last century. I think it was something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was crazy because there's like
Yeah.
weird planets, and this
Mhm.
satellite found something in like Jupiter's moon somewhere. I'm like, this is fascinating. This is awesome, you
Yeah.
know. So it's a little bit of like for everything for everyone
Yeah.
on Mojo. So it's really cool. It's really cool. I'm really
It,
glad.
yeah.
I'm
No,
really
I'm really happy for you. That it's
yeah.
just one of the coolest things, and you know, your story is interesting because your English is phenomenal, and I think I remember you telling me that the way you learned English was watching movies.
That is
You
definitely it.
watched
Yeah.
movies. I remember
Yeah.
it because you were born in Colombia, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
raised
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Mexico City.
Yeah.
And I remember this. One of the things that stayed with me forever is that you learned English from watching movies.
Yeah.
Like what
Specifically
movies?
Mel Brooks movies.
Really? Like what
My
was the
dad.
first one?
I think the first one was Robin Hood Men in Tights. I don't ask me why a 6-year-old was watching Robin Hood Men in Tights
Yeah.
or History of the World. It's a
It's
good
great to
thing.
be the king.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I think it's a good thing that maybe I didn't watch Blazing Saddles
Blazing Saddles, yeah.
when I was a little kid. But yeah, my
Yeah.
dad got me all these movies, and I started learning them. I just learned them by heart, and I was taking English classes in school and stuff like that because I've
Hmm.
always been like bilingual schools.
Hmm.
But it just, I mean, it gives you a little bit more of a kick into how people talk and a little bit of accents and terms and stuff like that that you bring in and you start talking like that because I mean
Yeah.
that's exactly what that's what people in movies talk like, so that's what you do, but yeah,
See,
yeah, yeah, it's usually movies.
it was Mel Brooks films.
Yeah, Mel Brooks
And then
films.
and then what would you get into after that?
I mean, I did a lot of Disney sing-along, so
Yeah.
a lot
Lion
because
King.
those, yeah, all
Yeah.
those videos, all those, I mean, there was a collection, you remember this, there was a collection of videos called
Yep.
Disney sing-along songs, and they had the little ball and they jumped through
They
the
still
lyrics and
have
stuff
it with
like
my
that. Yeah,
daughter.
there you
You
go,
watch
there you go.
Frozen now.
Yeah.
Frozen and Moana.
Yeah.
They've never stopped. Disney. Disney is like we are talking about beforehand. Like
Yeah.
they are prepared for every single thing. I was watching this interview and it was I'm blanking out on the guy's name, but it's the singing voice of Simba, the kid.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just can't wait to be king, that whole
Yeah. Yeah.
song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was talking about how when they were offering him that, I guess, the contract with that, and it's
Hmm.
just one of those things is like, if you don't know the business or if you're just not shrewd enough, you're going to get taken advantage of. And his mom knew enough to say no to
Hmm.
just getting bought out because they pretty much just wanted to buy him out, say, hey,
Yeah.
you're going to make just this flat fee of like, I don't know, like 100 grand or 150 grand,
Hmm.
which they didn't have a lot of money, but at the time for them that was a lot. And the mom said no to that. And everyone, I guess, was telling her, like, why are you going to say no? It's like, no, no, no. I want to get what's on the back end of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of taking the buyout, I'm just throwing out the number. It's like 150 grand. It was just a big amount of money.
Yeah. For the time.
But for the
Yeah. Yeah.
time, the guy ended up with over like $1.5 million
Yeah.
because his mom refused that buyout at first.
Just on home video.
Yes, and just sing along stuff, and
Yeah.
like, and that's still we listen to well, we have Pandora for the kid, and she loves listening to all these kids songs,
Yeah.
and that song comes up all the time. And I know this
Yep.
guy is just like receiving a little envelope in the mail
Yeah,
because
cha-ching, cha-ching every time somebody presses play on the thing.
exactly, because they have not figured out how to do direct deposit with some residuals yet. I don't understand this business because I've gotten the checks. Well, now, so with SAG, they do have direct deposit,
Mhm.
which is good because they're spending more on envelopes and
Yeah,
shipping for like my 2 cent or like $2
yeah.
checks than
Residuals, yeah.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, man, Disney, they got it made. Yeah, man.
They know what they're doing, man. So,
Yeah.
a couple of missteps here and there, but nothing
Well,
too big.
they
It's just Star Wars,
yeah, it's just Star Wars, and I mean, well, historically, I mean, they
Yeah.
have had a bunch of missteps, but you you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. You know what I
There you
mean?
go.
Like
There you
they
go.
I remember they have the song of the South. They can't even show anymore because of how racist it
Didn't they?
was.
Didn't I think that one they took down? But didn't they
What
just put like a little disclaimer in the beginning of it? I think they did, right? Like they
I
just
don't
like this doesn't reflect exactly what's going on right
I
now. It's
know
just
that they were doing that on Disney Plus with a few of their shows that they
yeah,
had on there, a few
and a
of
couple of
their thing,
cartoons. Yeah,
couple of cartoons, but I don't think they locked that one up in the vault
yeah.
completely. And
Song of the
now
South. Yeah,
they're redesigning the Splash Mountain rides.
yeah. I heard about that one. Yeah, I heard about that. Hey, listen. I mean, you gotta change. You gotta evolve.
Yeah.
I know it's something like a lot of people live through, and
Hmm.
it's no use like I don't know denying that it happened, but
Yeah.
some stuff you can put away. I think some stuff you
Yeah.
can put away, and it's fine. You know, there's not a lot of people are gonna get angry that Song of the South is not in the Disney library on Disney Plus. So
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, yeah, those people are they're pretty crazy for getting upset about that. Um, but I get it, and you know, they've been around since the 20s, the 30s,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so you're gonna have some hiccups along. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. was an addict. He was in and
Yeah,
out of jail, and he became the face of Marvel. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like they took a
Exactly. Yeah.
chance on. They only paid him like 500 grand at first for that
I
first
think
movie.
so.
Yeah,
But now he's the highest paid actor like ever.
I
Something like
think
that.
I
I
I
don't
think
know.
by Infinity War and Endgame, he was making like 50 million a
Yeah.
film.
A film.
I'm
Yeah.
just a film. I'm like, man, I would like to make that over a career. It's just
Yeah.
the I've done some TV shows where I know what I'm making,
Yeah.
and then it comes out like an article or just a video
Yeah.
on Watch Mojo,
A Watch
where
Mojo
is
video. Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
certain actors make
Yeah.
per episode, and I'm
Yeah.
in the same show, and I'm like, they're making that, and they couldn't even give me a bigger trailer. Like I was just like in like
Yeah.
a prison cell in Guantanamo for some of
Yeah.
these shows. But yeah, man, it's crazy how Disney has managed to evolve
Yeah.
and grow from that. So what have you been watching lately?
Oh shit. I'm a lot into TV shows right now because it's what I have time for.
Yeah,
I just finished Star Trek Discovery. I am a huge Trekkie. I got it. Get the Enterprise tattooed right there on my neck. So
that's awesome.
I'm a huge Trekkie, and I just finished Star Trek Discovery, which is awesome. I'm rewatching Battlestar Galactica with my girl right now.
Yeah,
We are enjoying the hell out of that. I didn't
yeah,
think she was going to enjoy it that much, but
really.
she is. She gets really stressed out and angry at the characters. I'm like, I love this. Get angry. Hate them. Hate them. And, oh, damn. I mean, a lot of internet videos. That's what I do right now.
Yeah,
So I need to stay in there in YouTube. So I watch a lot of YouTube right now. I need to get into Cobra Kai, but in
Cobra
due
Kai. I
time,
was
I guess.
I was watching I started watching the second season,
Yeah,
and that's brilliant because I think Cobra Kai was. Um, I had seen this video a few years before Cobra Kai came out, where it was this fan theory that
yeah,
Johnny, that Johnny was the victim, and then they laid out their case and said that Daniel LaRusso was the bully. He's the
yeah.
one who was taking Johnny's dreams and all this stuff. And sure enough, I guess I would have to say, I mean, I'm sure it's out there or something. I don't do enough research to really like see if this is what the show is based off of, but
Yeah.
the creators seem to have seen that video and said, you know what, we got something here. Let's get Johnny back. And it's a brilliant show.
I need to
It's
get into it.
so
I mean,
good.
I watched the first two episodes when it came out in YouTube.
Yeah.
What was it called? YouTube, I don't know,
Red.
Prime or Red or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And I watched the first couple of episodes. I really liked them, but then it took a long time for the rest of the episodes to come out. So
Yeah.
I kind of left it behind. But right now, I really need to get into it because it's like all over the place. And I
Yeah.
think the video you're referring to, I think it was a scene from How I Met Your Mother, where Neil Patrick Harris's character like meets Daniel LaRusso. He's like,
Oh, really?
no, yeah. He meets this guy and he starts ranting about how that guy was the bully and Sapko was
Yeah.
the real victim and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people are going into yeah, that was the general idea for this. But I don't know. I think they're doing a great job. I mean, I have to get into it, but they're bringing back a lot of stuff. So
It's really good how they did that because just a short synopsis of it is that it is Zapko's store. Johnny,
yeah,
Johnny Lawrence,
Johnny,
he,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
ever since that Valley tournament where he lost and the his sensei, Kreese, John Kreese,
yeah, 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 yeah.
choked him and broke his trophy. Like his life has just been a downward spiral. And so he's just trying to get his life back. And, he has a new crop of kids in Cobra Kai. And it's kind of like Daniel LaRusso he owns like a
Yeah.
car dealership
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah. But like
And
really successful and he has a lot of
yeah, and he
money and
gives
shit. Yeah.
exactly. So it was like opposite. Daniel's successful. He has the perfect marriage, the big house. He gives a bonsai tree with every car sale they
Yeah.
make, and and they bring back scenes and clips from the movies, which is really cool too. So it puts things into context,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah,
also
yeah,
like
yeah.
shows Johnny's perspective of it, but it doesn't fully just lay on his perspective because
Yeah.
Daniel LaRusso is also a conflicted character, and they also, it's the constant back and forth, which I think makes Cobra Kai work for me at least. And you start seeing the Johnny's an actual human, what the
Yeah.
movie missed out on, and I
Yeah.
think that's what's really cool about it, and just the nostalgia of the '80s because
Well,
he's
yeah, I
still like
mean
he
that's a
does,
lot of bank right now.
yeah,
That's a lot of bank right now because they're bringing back a lot of that stuff, and I mean some of it really works, like Cobra Kai. Some of it doesn't really
yeah,
work that much. But hey, I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad because I'm like, oh shit. One of the things I'm enjoying a lot about Disney Plus right now, I'm watching
yeah,
all the movies I watched as a kid, and I
yeah.
enjoy them. I enjoy. I mean, come on, a little
The
Mighty
Mighty
Ducks love right
Ducks.
here.
Yeah, yeah,
Little Mighty
yeah,
Ducks going on right there. And I love it. I love them, and I watched Cool Runnings, and I'm like, oh, I
yeah,
know why I love this show, this
yeah.
movie when I was a kid, and all the Mighty Ducks movies and stuff like that. I'm Operation Dumbro Drop. I watched the other day with
Oh yeah, Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta, and Danny
Yeah,
Glover, and Danny
Danny
Glover is
Glover.
on there too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a Disney movie, and I'm like, what? Ray Liotta, Danny Glover in a Disney movie? Yeah,
yeah.
so I'm enjoying a lot of that. So nostalgia is really big right now, and I think it works at some point. Yeah, I
Well,
mean up to
that's
some point. Yeah,
to some point. I also did like with Disney Plus. I do like that they have a lot of the old movies, like the
yeah,
Swiss Family Robinson
yeah,
and like 20,000 Leagues and just Treasure Island. All these old movies.
yeah,
You couldn't even make some of these movies. Like there's a scene in Swiss Family Robinson where they're having a race. First of all, they're on this island with all these animals that probably are not even native to this island, but
yeah,
they had
yeah,
them there, and they're doing this race on these island on this island. And at one point, I think it was either an ostrich or like a leopard like swipes at one of the actors, and
yeah.
I'm like, no way. That I guarantee you that would have been a lawsuit today.
Yeah, that is
You
not
get to see,
happening. That yeah,
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 you can see like some that the way, like, I mean, when I do, man, I've done movies where like there is no huge danger,
yeah.
but there is at least 1%, like
Chance
point
of
oh one
something. Yeah,
chance of something happening. We have the safety coordinator there. He's telling us this and that, running it through. Like I got dragged out of a car once, and they had to have a whole thing, a breakdown before with the stunt guys. And do I need a
yeah.
stunt guy? I'm like, it's getting dragged out of a car. But back then, dude, you get dragged, you can have a broken arm. They'll make you work the rest of the day. And you're like
Yeah,
12
yeah,
years old. Like those kids were like, that was it was a kid in that scene
yeah,
too.
yeah,
I can't
yeah.
remember. Was it an alligator? I just don't remember. There's also a scene in there where there was like quicksand or something, and the kid was like,
I remember that. Yeah.
got stuck in there too. So I love seeing all that. I was like, man, that is when you can make movie. You make pictures. You didn't make movie.
Yeah,
You made
yeah.
pictures.
You make
There's,
pictures right there. Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a picture.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was that other? There's a movie that I don't think it ever came out where they were living with lions. I'm not really sure what it's called. I don't know if
Born
you remember
Free.
this. Born Free. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Where
Yeah.
somebody got like really mauled or something like that
Yes.
by the lions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it
Born
ever. There
Free.
you
Boom.
go.
Get demonetized. I'm not even monetized. So like Born Free. I can sing all I want.
But yeah, man. I mean, what's happening right now in like pop culture and with everything
Yeah.
that's coming up, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I mean, the audience is really hard right now on a lot of content and on a lot of stuff that's happening. Um, the audience has become a lot more cynical too. But dude, I'm enjoying so much everything that's going on and
Yeah.
everything that comes out. And every time they announce a movie, I'm like, ooh, okay, okay, what's going on here? What's going? I just watched.
Man,
Oh,
yeah.
last couple nights ago, I watched a movie called Behind the Shadow. Behind. Oh, let me hold on. Give me a second. It just
Yeah,
came
go
out.
for it. There's like what you're saying, and we could go into it in a little bit about how the audience has become a little too cynical or a little bit territorial. Just like Star Wars, like that whole like the three movies that came out, man. I have never been a huge Star Wars fan. I grew up with the movies like every other kid in the 80s did, but didn't have like I'm not possessive of it. I'm not going to say like, "Oh, Ryan Johnson ruined the Rise of Skywalker." Like, hang him, chasing him through the village with pitchforks and whatnot. But there is truly like that they wanted to cancel Star Wars. They wanted to cancel Kelly Marie Tran, and like they wanted to, you know, go crazy. Like, do you agree with that, or do you like? How do you feel about that?
Look, I mean, as far as Star Wars go, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and I cried in the Mandalorian so many times, and
Oh,
stuff like that.
that
So
last episode too.
not dude. I started crying with the Mandalorian like from the first episode. I'm like, this is
Yeah,
beautiful. This is awesome,
yeah,
and I love Filoni, and I love everyone. And then I've been watching the Clone Wars since Dave Filoni started them, and then Rebels and stuff. So I'm really into the Star Wars stuff.
yeah.
I mean, it's Star Wars. So for me, good or bad, it's just adding to the Star Wars lore.
Hmm.
So I'm thankful for that. I mean, it
Yeah,
could be some of them are a little complicated. The movies, like for
yeah,
example, like the last Disney movies, some of them, I mean, they get into a territory and they found solutions for a couple of things and outs from certain story arcs that I don't really agree with. But it's
yeah,
Star Wars. I mean, it's adding. It's. I was when I saw Force Awakens, I was bawling in the theater. I'm like, this is
yeah,
awesome. The Lucasfilm logo came out, and I started crying, and then
yeah,
the music, and I kept crying a little bit more and stuff like that. So I love
yeah,
it. So for me personally, as long as they're Star Wars, I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm gonna keep enjoying it. I'm gonna take away what I like from it. I'm not gonna dwell on what I think they got wrong,
yeah,
in my opinion,
yeah,
because I mean, I'm just like hurting my own enjoyment of the films,
yeah,
of the whole Star Wars lore. So I'm not going to cancel it out. I'm not going to say that they're not canon or they should be erased or Ryan Johnson screwed it up or J.J. Abrams screwed it up, because I'll take what I can from them and I enjoy them. And
yeah,
there's probably going to be a lot more movies coming out. So,
yeah,
I take it like that. I mean, that's my own philosophy on that, because I know a
yeah,
lot of people are just like, burn the whole thing down because none of it works. I'm like,
yeah,
come on.
yeah. I have a buddy of mine, Alfredo, and I love to pick on him. I'll say, like, you know what? At least J.K. Rowling can finish a series.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? No, let me tell you what. Lucas had everything. He built a much bigger world and everything. And I know it pisses him off. So I just keep on going. I was like, yeah, but I mean, she finished it. And like Harry Potter also had the movies and they were all successful. He's like, you know what? It's not even the same. They stole the concept from Star Wars, like, Harry Potter was basically Luke Skywalker and
Yeah.
what's his name? Dumbledore was Obi-Wan and blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm just playing with you, dude. Calm down.
Take it easy.
But I
Yeah.
was like, listen, man, like this is one of Stephen King's biggest fans. Like, I
Yeah.
know that you can't hit home runs with every movie because
Exactly.
I mean, Stephen King movies, they never stay true to the book.
Yeah.
They even go way. Sometimes the movie is not even close to the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know that I don't I just like what you said. Like, if they can just put it out into the world, like
Exactly.
chapter 1 and 2,
Yeah.
I already knew that it wasn't gonna be the movie I wanted because they didn't have the budget
Yeah.
to make the movie the way they should have. Like, if they were gonna do it perfectly, it would have been a series,
Yeah.
and they would have. the way the book is, it goes from the adults to the kids, the adults to kids, the adults to kids,
Yeah,
because you look at their pain and how they were tortured by Pennywise and all that. But the way it worked out is you couldn't afford the actors that you got in the second movie for the
yeah,
first
of
movie. They only
course.
had a $30 million budget, and they had to fight for that. I think they
Yeah,
might have gotten less, and that they even cost Cary Fukunaga to leave the movie because of creative differences. So then they
yeah,
brought in Andy Muschietti. So I get it, but like now we got to see a new Pennywise, and it was
exactly.
it was it was fun. I wasn't my favorite movie, but I was like, it's out there.
It's
Let's
out
have
there.
fun with it.
Look. If anything, it's a stepping stone for people who might be interested in something like that. Because,
Yes.
I mean, if the new Star Wars movies did anything right, it was
Hmm.
that. It was getting a lot of people interested in Star Wars. And the same thing with The Mandalorian. I mean, you could watch The Mandalorian without watching Star Wars, and it
Yeah.
would get you into Star Wars. So if anything, I think they did that right. They just brought people into the franchise, and
Yeah.
those people are going to look at the old movies, and they're going to look at the prequels, and they're going to decide for themselves what works and what doesn't work for them. You don't have to be like a huge connoisseur of Star Wars lore to enjoy movies as they're made. I mean,
Yeah.
Force Awakens. I know Force Awakens is like an exact copy of New Hope, but it doesn't matter because a lot of people haven't watched New Hope, so they're gonna watch
Exactly.
Force Awakens, and they're gonna go back and they're gonna go like, oh, okay, okay, I know where this is coming from, and I think I enjoy that a lot too because there are a lot of people are like, I know a little bit about Star Wars, so people come up to me like, hey, so what's going on here? What happens with this guy? What happened? Okay, look, you got to watch this in this order, and you'll get an idea of what they're talking about here. I mean,
Yeah.
and I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy that a lot,
Yeah.
and that I think if anything, that's what you got to take away from these kinds of like revivals or franchise movies because that's what it works.
I agree. And that's one of the things that the Mandalorian did for me
Yeah,
was that I had no clue, uh, you know, about was it Ahsoka,
yeah,
and
Ahsoka Tano.
yeah, Ahsoka Tana, and like the whole Clone Wars, and like now because I've seen this and I like this character that I saw in the Mandalorian, it's like I want to know more. So that's in the Clone Wars, and it does really open up those doors. I mean,
Yeah,
think about it. The Star Wars movies, the first one came out when 78,
yeah, 78, yeah, 77, 78, I
78,
think, yeah,
and so I mean, there's a whole generation, that don't even know that. I mean, it's just it's very. That was I saw a TikTok where this dad had the movie playing for his kids,
yeah,
and he's like, I'm walking in when Darth Vader reveals that he's the father,
yeah, 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 yeah,
and he's just like taping his kid's reaction, and they just flip out like, what? And
yeah,
the
yeah. I
fact that
saw
these
that. I
kids
saw
did
that. Yeah,
not know that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father, it's just like you don't even have to be like a nerd, quote
yeah,
unquote, to know
yeah, yeah, yeah.
about that. It's just like that's common knowledge. I thought, but there's a whole generation that does not know this because
Exactly.
they're 30, 15-second Vine video kids now.
Because is like before anything else, or
Hmm.
before anything else, these are movies, and
Yeah.
they have a way of telling a story. And if the story's good, it's gonna work for people. It doesn't necessarily mean the franchises are all the franchises good. If if it elicits a reaction from the viewer and from the audience, even if the audience has absolutely no idea what they're watching, it's a movie that works.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important part. And proof of that is that you can look into the generations of Star Wars fans,
Hmm.
and for people who watched the prequels as they came out when they were little kids, like if they were 8 or 9 when the prequels came out,
Yeah.
those are their favorite Star Wars movies, not the one, not the 4,
Yeah.
5 and 6 from the 70s. No.
Yeah.
The prequels are their favorite movies.
Yeah.
So I think that's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work. Not
Yeah.
all Star Wars is made only for the fans who started watching them in the 70s. It's
Yeah.
for their movies. I mean, people need to enjoy them as movies, and I think that's the most important part. And I think for the most part, they've succeeded in doing that. Not for
Yeah.
anything, the new movies got like $1 billion each, so
Yeah.
they made their billion, and it's not because of the like true hardcore Star Wars fans. It's because people were enjoying the movie and they went and saw the movie and enjoyed it. So and they paid their tickets. So you know,
That's one thing that like you brought up about, you know, that there's kids that they were kids when, you know, was it the Phantom Menace came
Phantom
out,
Menace. Yeah,
and I remember I was a sophomore in high school,
yeah,
and I was in my history AP history class. So
yeah,
I was in advanced placement history, and my buddy Edgar Anthu, I remember this all the way. Like he
yeah.
had bought like tickets about a week in advance. I didn't even know that you could buy tickets in
In
advance like
advance.
that for this movie, and that blew my mind. And I remember the hype for the new Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
And the thing about this pandemic that we've had is like we were talking about the Warner, like before we were recording about how Warner's is going, you know, they're going to theaters, but they're dropping it on HBO Max. And there's a generation of kids, I mean, as adults too, but it's just, there's just something innocent about being under 18 or
yeah,
like 21 and under, and being a part of this movie the day it comes out.
yeah,
You know, like Dune is coming out.
yeah,
You know, that's one of those movies that I feel will have, it could have had like that historical impact of
yeah,
witnessing it in a theater with surround sound, one of those like IMAX sort of situations where, you know, a whole audience. Like I remember watching Get Out. That was the last time, and I was watching it in New York City,
yeah,
you know, with just a wild audience. And you know, it's just me and my buddy Chewy were there, and you know, we're in the theater with a whole bunch of black people, and they're reacting to it, and we were
yeah,
reacting to it. You know, it's like finally like there's a different face on horror. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
not
I
like,
got you.
you know, the Sidney Prescott, you know, from
Yeah,
Scream.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not,
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
you know, like it was just something different. And that's like how it was with you know, I remember that with the Phantom Menace, or even going to see the Two Towers in the theater
yeah,
the day it comes out,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
waiting in
yeah.
line for like an hour to get into the theater. And I went with my buddy, like Jaime Ortegon, and like he said, when we're walking into the theater, this was like the nerdiest thing I've ever heard someone say. He's like, we've been waiting, or was it The Matrix? No, it was, I think it was this. It's like, we've been waiting since sophomore year, boys. It's just like for this one. I was just like, what? But it's just, you know, those moments, like looking back now, it's like, man, like that's an experience
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
and to be a part of, and like to show up that first day. And I think that pandemic is going to kind of, this pandemic that we have, and like the movies going straight to HBO Max is going to change that,
Look,
because you're going to say like, oh yeah, we're going to get excited on Friday night and we're going to watch this at in our living room where
in a
we,
TV, yeah. Look, I think if anything, I think this pandemic is gonna maybe bring things back a little bit, but the movie experience is look, it's just not gonna go away. It didn't
no,
go away when Netflix came up. It didn't go
no,
away with any of the other VOD or streaming services. It's not gonna go away. So maybe Dune right now it's gonna come on HBO Max, but as soon as the theaters open, you think they're gonna miss their opportunity to throw
yeah,
it to an IMAX theater? Of course not. They're gonna
no,
leave it up there for like a month so a lot of people can watch it. You know. And,
yeah,
and the experience is exactly what's going to bring the people into the theaters to watch the movies that maybe they don't want to watch on VOD. It's like Dune, James Bond, all these movies that are coming
yeah,
out. They're going to wait until they're in the theater, if anything else, just for like the experience.
yeah,
And now that you were talking about like the whole experience thing, it happened to me in the past, I think, 10 years. It's
yeah,
happened to me, I think, three times
yeah,
where I got a genuine movie experience, and that would be a next question for you. Like, let me
yeah,
describe it, and then you tell me. First one was Star Trek 2009, Star Trek, the J.J.
yeah,
Abrams Star Trek. As a
I loved,
Trekkie,
yeah,
the first 5 minutes of that movie, like James Kirk, like the birth of James
yeah,
Kirk, to me was the most outrageous and awesome scene like
yeah,
ever. It was exciting, and I was crying. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's like a real hero, and I enjoyed it like a lot. Plus after that I got to meet JJ Abrams, and I thanked him. I'm like, dude,
that's
thank you
awesome.
for that. Yeah, 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 yeah. I was really lucky on that one because I was doing
How did you
press
meet him?
for I was doing press
Yeah,
for the channel for Uno TV. I was
yeah,
doing press because I had a TV, like a movie YouTube show thing that I was doing with them. So I got invited to a lot of like press junkets and stuff like that. So I met J.J. Abrams and I thanked him. I'm like, dude, thank you. That was awesome. That was insane. After that, it was Pacific Rim. When I first saw
Ah,
Pacific Rim, Guillermo del
with
Toro's
my
Pacific Rim,
boy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
my boy Guillermo.
I never like I felt like a 9 year old again. I was like really like flabbergasted at these things are huge. This is awesome. Fucking robots and monsters and stuff like that. I was
Yeah,
like 10 year olds again, a 10-year-old boy again, just watching these movies.
yeah.
And I got to thank Guillermo del Toro also after that
Dude, I'm so jealous. So you know
at
he's my
another
favorite
press
director.
junket. Yeah, at another press junket, dude.
Mm,
That press junket, I'll tell you about it maybe some other time. I'll just look. I'll tell you that press conference with Guillermo del
yeah,
Toro for Pacific Rim.
yeah.
It started out as a normal press conference. Then somebody asked him, "Why do you do a lot of monster things?"
Hmm.
It turned into an hour
Well,
and a half of him
yeah,
like nerding out about monsters. It was a
dude.
master class in monster and creature creation. It
Yeah,
was awesome. It turned from press
dude.
conference into that. And after that, I think it was Mad Max Fury Road. Fury Road,
Yeah.
it got me so emotional and so worked up, and the guitars and the cars and the explosions. I'm like, oh shit! Yeah, I
Yeah.
went
The
out,
spray paint. Yeah.
bought the spray paint, and started yelling at people, "Witness me!" in the streets and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But that movie really, I think that those are three times that in the past like 10 years
Yeah.
that I've really like lived that movie experience, and I don't think that's gonna I don't think it's gonna wane down, not even
No.
for the pandemic. I mean,
No.
the people are gonna go back to the theaters and start living that again. But going like with that train of thought, can you tell me like in the past, I don't know, 5-10 years, that experience in movies?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Well, first, I got a story about meeting, you know, you're talking about the Justice League. So
Yeah,
Superman had just come out. So the story was Rosa in New York, she works at a school, and the office was on 61st Street. So
yeah,
at Columbus Circle, where the Time Warner Center, the big globe is,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
Central Park. Well, at the Time Warner Center, the Mandarin Hotel is there.
mm-hmm.
Right. And so Rosa always wanted me to meet her at work on Fridays. We can go out to eat in the city or whatever. But it was raining. Like New York rains so much, dude. I hated it.
Yeah,
I was in a bad mood that day. Something had happened. I don't know. I was grumpy. Let's just say that. I was grumpy.
yeah,
It was raining, and it was one of those even rains where like the umbrella comes out like you see on
yeah,
TV, or it's like, I hate my life. So I get out like Columbus Circle, going up the steps. I cross the street, to start walking down 60th. And I'm passing the Mandarin. I see a bunch of people waiting there. I was like, what's going on? And my day, it was raining, but like that
yeah.
little rainbow came out because Zack Snyder came out,
Really?
David S. Goyer came out, and I got to take pictures with them and meet them.
Oh
you know
shit, man,
and
that is awesome.
I had just missed Russell Crowe and Henry Cavill, and I
Wow.
just missed them. But like, just to see Zack Snyder, who I just love his vision. Like, you can say
Yeah,
whatever you want about, like, his direction in films and whatever, but the way he directs the movies,
yeah,
the way he makes them aesthetically, they're beautiful. And it was just one of those pure New York moments. So one of those
yeah,
things I'm really
yeah,
truly
yeah, yeah,
gonna
yeah,
miss, where it just so happens. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
like another, it happened all the time in New York, but that, just like that sort of thing, like in
yeah.
that kind of
I got you.
universe. But going back to your question about, because I have a ton of those stories for days where I just randomly run in. It could be awful day, and then all of a sudden you run into like a hero or whatever.
Yeah,
But the film experience, like, in New York, I remember my dad was visiting, and we went to go see Birdman.
okay, yeah,
And that movie really moved me. Just the
okay,
fact that you have Michael Keaton making a comeback, the way it was edited to look like
yeah,
it was just one long continuous cut, is
yeah,
just beautifully directed. Michael Keaton did such a great job. There was just so many things relating to the New York scene, because, we were watching this movie blocks away from Broadway,
yeah,
where he was like scenes were taking place, and just like I knew the story of some of these, the backstory of some of these, what their characters were based off. I knew some people in the movie, and it was just a really cool experience.
Yeah, everything came
um
together. That's cool.
Everything came together. It was just a really cool movie. uh Also, like I said, Get Out was another
Yeah,
one where it was just a breath of fresh air, because this comedian, this okay, so I hated on Jordan Peele, Key and Peele. I never would give them the time of day, because I was a Chappelle guy. I
yeah.
was like, these guys, they're just Chappelle wannabes for years. I truly, I hated on them
Yeah,
until I saw Get Out. And I'm not going to say, I don't know if it should have won the best picture, but
yeah,
you talk about a total immersive experience. Like, I'm watching this movie with a horror movie directed by a black director, and I'm in an audience of black people finally seeing a movie made, for them,
yeah.
with people that look like them. And it was just a beautiful experience to see how
Cool.
excited they got. And it was loud, it was fun, it was just a great experience. And then I was like, you know what, I need to see what Key and Peele's about. And if you go back and watch a lot of their sketches, the Key and Peele sketches, so much of it is, you could see how like steeped it is in horror, and
Yeah,
his knowledge of horror, like the whole, the whole continental breakfast
yeah,
sketch,
yeah,
where
yeah,
he's like, you
yeah,
get continental breakfast. He's like, continental breakfast. And
yeah,
he's in the hotel. And at the end, the picture is like The Shining, where he's
yeah,
like the black and white photo
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of The
yeah, yeah,
Shining. Or, he has he got moved up to business class, and they're doing a riff on The Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, the
yeah,
Richard
yeah, yeah,
Matheson story, the Twilight Zone episode. And so I started following him, and then even just a lot of horror tones. And I was like, this guy is someone I'm going to keep an eye on. Like, he's
yeah.
just really smart.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah,
knows
yeah.
exactly
Totally.
what he's doing. And so this comedian really surprised me. The Dark Knight Rises, I saw
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and like in a packed theater, um is it the Regal Cinemas, just south of Union Square in New York City. Like, it's just a really beautiful, experience. And I got to see, Tom Hardy, and like just rocking it, and like a crowd full of people. And I would also have to say, right before the pandemic, The Invisible Man. And I know this is like a weird mix of movies, like, not necessarily like um like not necessarily like Oscar nominated, or like
Yeah.
movies that were like, but you said, for me, the
Yeah. For you
cinematic
personally. Yeah.
experience, personally, like, I saw The Invisible Man, and I was moved by the sound design, by Elizabeth Moss
Hmm.
acting, the story, like the way they went with it. I'm a huge. I'm a Blumhouse like nerd. I love Blumhouse, and I love Saw. Like, not in my, well, I moved. I don't know if everyone can see. Like, it's just pictures of my family now, but we moved offices. So my picture, I have a blueprint of that bear trap from Saw.
Yeah.
One of Rose's coworkers' dad designed those props.
Oh,
You
dude,
know,
that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, for all the Saw movies, a lot of horror movies. So it was just nerding out when, like, they're having that fight scene at that like insane hospital, and like they speed off, and you could see Jigsaw graffiti, like a little Easter egg. It was just one of like the coolest experiences, and it was, I was moved.
Cool.
Like those were really good. You know, I mean, also, just, I saw Going in Style, and I was in that movie for like 10-15 seconds. That was moving to see, and in a theater.
I mean, yeah, of course. To
I
see
was in it.
yourself, it's like, dude, come on.
It's surreal
Yeah.
that I was in a movie. Well, fun fact about that too. There's a fun story about how I got the part, because people think I was a background actor, and I wasn't. I got paid to
Yeah.
do nothing. Honestly, I was. I get this audition, right, for this movie, and Break says that this uh, uh, movie has Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine and Alan Arkin, and I am looking at that as if, like, okay, this is a drama. Like, these guys have all won Academy Awards,
Yeah.
right? And so no sides at all. So I don't have a script. They said you got to go in there and improv a bank robbery. So I go in there,
Yeah.
and it's one of like the bigger casting off. This is the biggest, one of the biggest in New York City. Like there's a couple of big ones. Like this is the one that does a lot of the big movies. And I go in there and I'm like, go shoot. I was like, I was making a fool out of myself and making this a dramatic scene.
Yeah.
And then I find out it's a comedy of these old guys trying to rob a bank. And I show up on set, and I was there for like 6 days. So if
Yeah.
you watch the movie, man, you see me in there, and they take the gun away from me. And like I said, you think I'm a background actor, but like I wasn't. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
background acting, but I was just like, I'm saying, like I was overpaid.
You're
Let's
up there.
say that.
Yeah.
I was overpaid
Yeah.
for just not having any lines. Like I'm not going to like give the money back, but like it was really fun and nice. And
It was cool.
it was the closest I was going to be to Batman because I was sitting between
Yeah.
Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman. You know what I mean? And I was just like,
Yeah.
these guys
Yeah.
have worked
Yeah.
with Nolan how many times? And it took me about like 2 days to say hello to them. And I was like within inches of them every single day. But I was so
Yeah.
scared to talk to Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman. And finally,
Well,
one
yeah,
day
man. I mean,
they were awesome.
yeah.
The,
I
the
mean, I mean,
sweetest
I
people.
think I don't know. I have no idea, but I think you can speak more to that than I can. But I think like most of them are right.
Yes.
Look,
Yeah.
I was doing camera work. I did camera work for a couple of Netflix junkets in Mexico City.
Yeah.
So I got to meet who what was his name? I got to meet Pedro Pascal first of all, which is really really cool.
Oh,
Yeah, I
dude.
got to
Yeah.
meet him when
Yeah.
he was doing press for Narcos for the second
Yeah.
season in Narcos, and like my whole left arm is a Game of Thrones tattoo. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
look, Game
yeah.
of Thrones. He's like, really? Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. Um, who else did I get to meet in those junkets? I got oh shit, what was it? What's her name? Uh, look, it was a lot of fun, but my point is like you look at them with such like awe and such reverence, and then you talk to them and they're like, yeah, no, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
The guy, remember the chief of staff from House of Cards? He
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
opposite Kevin Spacey, bald
Yeah.
guy.
Ball guy. The
I
one who would
met
hide the
him.
bodies.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I
Yeah.
met
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
in one of the press junkets, and they were giving everything away for the second season of House of Cards. Like they were just
Oh,
spoiling the shit out of it. I'm like, oh come on, they're just
yeah.
spoiling everything. At one point
Like
at
Tom
one point,
Holland or what?
no, the one point he turns around in like between interviews. He turns around. He talks to me. He's like, "We're just spoiling everything for you, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, come on, you got to keep some for yourself,
Ah.
dude. Come on. He starts laughing, and after that, and when the interviews were done and everything like that, I told him like, "Dude, if I have everything spoiled, because at that point his character was supposedly dead. Like
Yes.
we knew he was
He was in
going to come
hiding.
back
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the third season,
Yeah.
something like that. And you know what? If I go down, everyone goes down. And he recorded a video on my phone that I sent to my friends. He's
Yeah.
like, "Guess who's back, bitches?" And then he records that on my phone, and I send it to all my friends, and everyone's all pissed off, like, "What? What are you doing?" Stuff like that. So that was really
That's
fun.
awesome.
And that's like the general vibe that you get from the actors and from
Yeah.
these people that you look up to, you know. And
Yeah.
that's usually how it goes, which is a
I
lot of fun.
I like I know that there's a lot of actors or like you'll hear a story where people say that so and so an actor's a dick or like they're an
Yeah,
asshole. Like, they don't even like they've always been an asshole. And like with Louis C.K.,
yeah,
a fellow Mexican,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and Dirty Boy, but I worked with him,
yeah.
and he has that reputation. People say like, oh, he's a jerk, like,
And Louis, right? You were in Louis for a couple
yeah, I was
of
in
episodes.
Louis. I was
Yeah.
in Louis for an episode, but then like I did a play,
Okay.
or it's,
Okay.
it's like a collection of short plays, and Pam Adlon, who is his co-producer, and she has her show
Mm,
called Better Things. It's on Netflix. So she's like best friends, co-producers with Louis,
cool.
and
Cool. Cool.
and
Cool.
he produced her show, and so he came and watched, and we talked about the whole thing, and the dude just wants like his privacy, like
Yeah.
it's just like he's like imagine like you're with your family, like with me, I'm with my little girl, and someone wants to come and just like take a picture, or like I'm trying to eat an ice cream with my kid, and like someone
Yeah,
wants to steal that moment. Like, how many moments does the person it's they're that busy
yeah.
have with their children? You know what I mean? And then I know people are gonna say, well, you know what, that's what you signed up for, you know? And it's just like,
But it's
no, we
not.
didn't sign up
No.
for that. We signed up to tell stories. And the fact that we're like, you know, recognizable, or come to a point where it's like
Yeah,
we've inspired you, that's very encouraging and that's very humbling.
yeah.
But they're still human beings and they still need some sort of
And it's
privacy.
still a job. I mean, that's
Yeah,
basically what it is. It's their job. I mean,
yeah,
nobody comes into your job and starts like taking pictures of you at some point. I mean,
exactly.
that's it. They're doing a job and they're good at their jobs and stuff like that. And they're a little bit recognizable, but they still have their private time and they still have their private activities and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's the whole fan base thing is it's kind of weird and it's gotten like
it's weird.
really out of hand as of late. But fans will be
I
fans.
Yes, I agree totally. And it's something I do think about constantly. I mean, not constantly, but like here's the example. Like tomorrow or even after this conversation, I could check my email, right? And
Hmm.
there's an audition from my agents. Hey, can you tape? I send that tape in. Within a month, I'm shooting.
Yeah,
Within the year, that show is out, and that can change my life forever.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I can
definitely.
be, up for awards, or I could just be recognizable. That's part of this business. And one of the things about my career I feel like I've been very blessed and fortunate with is that I haven't had that overnight success. I've had that gradual, like I did commercial for AT&T, and T, and then I did a TV show. I did Louie, and then I did a horrible Netflix show called The Characters. And even people who did it and produced their own episodes said it was bad. It was one of their first kind of like after
Original
House of
things. Yeah.
Cards,
Okay.
after Orange is the New Black. It's like they're starting to try to roll out new things, and the actors, the creators are all awesome, but it just didn't work out,
Yeah.
but things started happening. So gradually I was getting going into bigger and bigger things,
Hmm.
because you see some people, they get that overnight success, and it's I don't think anything in life can prepare you for that, where
Yeah.
you know um I know a guy who, um, I remember it from the gym that I worked at, was, asking me for advice on like when I was doing divorce, and I was, on another TV show, and he was trying to break in. Well, dude, he got his chance like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and the show that he was on, he took a photo with the creator, or like the main executive producer,
Hmm.
who's a very known celebrity. And I remember watching his Instagram go from like 5,000 to 10,000 to 20,000. Like I was just refreshing every hour
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
100,000. By Sunday, it was up to 300,000. And right now, he's around 1 million,
Oh
and like
shit.
hanging out
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
every like A-list teeny bopper. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
mid
Yeah.
20,
Yeah.
the CW, stud, like
Crowd. Yeah. Okay.
all of them, and it's just like good, good for them. Like you see that, and I mean they handle it well, and he's doing really well with his platform. But like some people just, it crushes them, because
Yeah.
just think about it, man. Like how many people are going to be messaging you if you
Yeah.
had like just a couple thousand followers who kind of pay attention to your stories and will
Yeah.
like here, to getting all these DMs from weirdos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
people are,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just, like DM, and it's like, oh, I think you're hot, or oh, like, send me, I need help financing this, or hey, I got a
Yeah.
business, like, it's stuff like that to think about. And I think that the way my career has been going was like that, to where
Yeah.
I'm preparing myself mentally to see this coming. And I even then, like, I don't even know if I will be ready at that point. Like
Yeah.
where, I get that audition, and then like, oh, I booked that series reg, and now I'm doing a movie, and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's just, I think it's just, it's weird. The fandom is weird.
Yeah.
It really and
Yeah. Yeah.
truly is a thing. And I know it exists, and I know it's always been like that,
Yeah,
but it's weird now. Like, let me be real. I'm not even close to having fans,
yeah,
but I have been on TV a bit and getting messages from people like I haven't seen or heard from,
yeah,
but asking weird questions, like
yeah,
it's still really weird. Or like somebody's hinting to me that they need some help financially
yeah.
for a certain situation, and I'm like, I ain't gonna give you money.
It's like I
It's
barely make some myself. Are you kidding me?
exactly. And that's the thing. They think that you're on TV and you're rich, and it's
Yeah.
just like, no,
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 that's not
because
how this works.
not at all. And there's only a certain few people that are really rich in this
Yeah.
industry, and so the others are just rich spiritually. you know,
Yeah, definitely.
you know?
They're rich in friends, I guess. In
Yes, yes.
friendship.
And friendship and just family life. That's really, really all it is. Talking about Game of Thrones, what'd you think about that last season?
Look, I didn't mind it. I know it was poorly made. It was rushed. Definitely could have made it into two seasons. I know that. I
Or a
completely and
longer
absolutely or
season?
longer. No,
Yeah.
just yeah, but I think two seasons would have been fine. I mean, they're a lot. They're really expensive, so make two 6 episode seasons. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have minded, But it is what it is. I mean, they
Yeah.
closed out arcs, maybe not in the most popular way, but they did close out a lot of arcs that they had opened up for some characters. Some of it worked, some of it didn't work. The final episode was it was kind of lacking, but hey, I'm a
Yep.
fan, so I
Yep.
enjoyed it, and I thank absolutely everything that came from Game of Thrones and everything that's coming because they're making House of the Dragon, so
Yeah.
they're not really backing down from Game of Thrones. They're like,
No.
oh no, a lot of people complained, so we better not touch this again.
Yeah.
Hell no. Hell, they're
No.
gonna keep making Game of Thrones shows like for the foreseeable future.
It
So
it's just like the same people who hated the new Star Wars movies
exactly,
all
exactly.
rushed
I
to watch
mean,
The Mandalorian. They're
exactly,
gonna
exactly.
give him a chance.
And oh my God, this is what Star Wars was supposed to be. After you
Yeah.
have no idea what Star Wars was supposed to be.
You're yeah. You're not
Just
Filoni or
accept.
George Lucas or anything like
Exactly,
that. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, most of these people haven't like the people who complain about the Star Wars. Most of them haven't even seen like Rebels and what Filoni did before the Mandalorian
Yeah.
and the whole setup to the Mandalorian. So, look, it is what it is for some of these shows. It happens. They're not deliberately made bad. That's another thing because people think like, oh, they're out to ruin this. No, they're not. They're investing millions and millions of dollars into these
Yeah.
shows. They're not out to make them bad. They're out to make them the best possible way they can make them. And for Game of Thrones, maybe it was that. I mean, Benioff and Weiss probably said like, okay, we need to move into the whole Star Wars thing because at that
Yeah.
point they were going to do something Star Warsy, and they had a Netflix deal and shit like that. So
Yeah.
they did what they thought it was best for the show, and
Yeah.
some things worked, some things didn't work. But hey, overall, it's Game of Thrones. Overall, it's gonna be etched into history as one of the most popular shows like ever, and nothing's gonna take it away from them. Nothing's
Yeah.
gonna take it away from them or for the show. Now we just need George R. R. Martin to finish that fucking book, man. But
That that's I think that was part of the problem was that
yeah,
George R. R. Martin never finished.
yeah,
And he was taking his sweet time. And he was
oh
known
yeah,
for writing 1,000 words a day.
yeah,
So I've been writing on and off for the last few years. And 1,000 words a day is just a page, single space.
yeah,
That's all it is. And you see
yeah,
how big his books are. Like
yeah,
they're like 700 pages. So if he's just like, I'm done. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
remember that I saw this interview with him and Stephen King. And like he asked Stephen King, it's like, how do you write so much? And he's
yeah.
just like, I just do it.
I just
He's like,
write, yeah,
yeah, he's like, I can never manage to finish my books. And it's like, just finish it, man. Your health isn't there. But, I know that David Benioff and what's his name?
DB Weiss.
DB Weiss, they, they did take a lot. I do feel that they rushed it. I would
I
have
know.
liked one or two more episodes. That's really, I don't need, that's all I needed was one or two more
Yeah,
episodes because
yeah,
the whole White Walker thing, it just ended too abruptly to build up from the first season to just have it. And there, that should have been the last episode.
There you go. Yeah,
Personally,
yeah,
that
I
should
think
have
so.
been
Yeah,
reversed, and then some sort of kind of I don't know, resolution with Daenerys, handled before, you
yeah.
know. Uh it is what it is now. They did they were getting money deals on the side too.
Well, yeah, of course,
And
man.
and
Yeah,
and
I mean,
so,
but it's the industry. They're
it's
not gonna.
did you hear about that one show that they were gonna do that
Yeah,
was
the
like
Civil War show, right? The where
yeah,
the
dude,
South
if
won.
the South won.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They really backtracked that one really
Yeah,
quick.
yeah. Well, that started happening really big right after like Ferguson, the
Yeah,
riots in Ferguson, the protests. When Black Lives Matter started,
yeah,
that's like when that show was being talked about. It got
yeah,
approved at HBO for a second,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember I was telling all my friends, I was like, I don't think that this is gonna work out. You
yeah,
got a show about the South winning and slaves are still a thing,
yeah,
written by two white dudes. I was like, this
yeah.
ain't gonna
It's not
fly.
gonna
Not
work.
right now. If you would have done it 5, 6 years earlier, maybe.
But that's what the
That
Man
that
in the High Castle did, and that's
that's
like what
exactly what it.
5 years ago, something like that. The Man in
Yeah,
the High Castle. It came out for
man,
Amazon a
it's
couple,
just the
and
Nazis and the
yeah,
Japanese
and
one.
the
That's it,
Japanese won.
but that was 45. You know,
Yeah,
1945. It's like a lot of this stuff is like still kind of sensitive today
a
about
little bit. I would say,
race
yeah.
relations. And I mean, dude, yeah, America's crazy right now, man. No comment on that.
Yeah,
But
let's just say Mexico's building that wall a little bit faster.
yeah, so that's another thing too. Is like, you know, Mexico has been going through a lot, especially
Yeah.
along the borders with the drug war and all that. How has that affected film? How has that affected your industry, production wise? Like, I remember when you had that scout from Narcos that got
Yeah.
kidnapped or
He got killed.
killed.
He got killed.
Uh,
Yeah.
he got killed, and a lot of directors won't even go back to Mexico to shoot, or they haven't gone back. But is that just a little overhyped, or is there some?
Look,
Uh,
it's
uh,
it's it's a matter of being better safe than sorry, because you can always take measures for doing so. One
yeah,
thing that's, I mean, the reality. This is all my opinion. This is all my take on it.
yeah,
The reality of some of that stuff is that if you're not if you don't mess with what they're doing,
yeah,
most of the time they will leave you alone, because they don't need that publicity.
yeah,
They don't need their name out there,
yeah.
and I'm talking about the cartels and stuff like
The
that. They don't
cartels, yeah,
need their names out there. So they would do there is a lot of violence, there is a lot of drug thing, and but it's not really whatever is made public is just like the tip of the iceberg, and it's just something that may be leaked, or something that a really young like drug lord like put on social media and stuff like that,
yeah,
but it's not really the whole issue. And it does leave a little bit of a stain, as far as the industry goes,
yeah,
but it's not the general rule. It's not the
yeah,
general rule, because most of Mexico is still safe. Most of Mexico is still working. Right before the pandemic, I was starting to work with a company called The Lift here in Mexico, and they handle all the production, the local production for a lot of international commercials. They
yeah,
handle that. And there wasn't ever any issue about that. I mean, they would hire security, and they have security, and they have contractors dedicated to scouting and to keeping a production safe.
yeah,
But that's it. It's usually a little bit of legwork and a little bit
yeah,
of investigation, and just to figure out if somewhere is safe to work in or not.
yeah,
And it's something like that. But I think it's like the same everywhere. Even if they're taping in, I don't know, Atlanta, Georgia, they still need to know the bad parts of town where they can
yeah.
work, or they can't work.
Oh yeah,
So it's
yeah.
it's it's basically that. It's basically that, and I think it usually does get overhyped. I was watching this documentary series called "Long Way Down, Long Way Up" with
Mhm.
Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman. They're taking electric Harley motorcycles from Ushuaia in Argentina all the way to L.A.
Yeah,
And there's I think they crossed Mexico in like 2 episodes, and
yeah,
every single episode, and like every 5 minutes they're like, oh, they're warning us this is going to be bad. Oh, they're warning us there's security
Yeah.
concerns, and they're warning us that there was an attack somewhere. So it's like, okay, yeah, sure, fine, but that is the same absolutely everywhere, you know. So
Yeah.
overall, the industry just keeps moving. Overall, the industry, they keep filming, they keep doing their job. You know, I mean, not right now because everyone's like locked down, but or
Yeah.
supposedly supposed to be locked down,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's really that. If you do your homework, if you take care of what you're doing and really take it seriously, you shouldn't have any problem like at all because you can avoid areas
Yeah.
that like problematic areas and stuff like that. So it's really not that much of an issue.
Because I've always been wondering about that because I do have a lot of friends from Mexico here in the States and they're
Yeah,
acting and everything. And constantly bashing the states and their politics and all that stuff.
yeah,
And I get it, far from perfect. And
yeah,
it's just like what is it so much better here? Is there more opportunity, literally more opportunity here in the states than there is down there, or is it just have productions kind of ceased, or are they starting to pick up? Because I do
hmm,
know that, and it makes sense. Like if you are barking up the wrong tree, if you're going to do a
yeah,
show called Narcos,
yeah,
you know, about
yeah.
drug dealers,
Exactly,
you're gonna
exactly.
you're gonna raise some ears. But Selena, the series for Netflix, was shot in Mexico.
Yeah.
The whole thing was shot in Mexico, in Cabo. So it's just, or was it in Cabo? I can't remember where it is, but
Yeah.
it was
Well,
Playa del Carmen, I think.
productions keep working and everything keeps working. Right now, I think most of it is locked down. And as far as opportunities go, yeah, I think it's just maybe the fact that they're the hub for the industry is in the states makes
It
it a
is, yeah,
little more. It gives it a little more opportunity. But I think one of the issues here, again, this is a personal opinion, but one of the issues down here is the type and the themes and the subjects that are being worked on. They're not broad enough. You know,
yeah,
they are so limited because they're usually rehash of rom-coms or narco
yeah,
subjects or violence or stuff like that, and it's been like that for a while now. There's no sci-fi down here. Actually, there this year, I think the first full feature sci-fi Mexican movie came out with like
really,
special effects and stuff like that, and it looks really cool. It looks really cool, but it's like
yeah,
one, you know, and it's
yeah,
oh shit, you know, it's like this one guy that played his cards right and he did a sci-fi movie and oh my
yeah,
god, you know, but it should be the norm. It should
yeah,
be trying to tell as many types of stories as possible, but it just doesn't happen because
yeah,
it doesn't fly with most of the Mexican audience because they're
yeah.
not familiarized with it if it doesn't come with a Marvel a logo on it or a
That makes
Disney
sense.
logo on it. So yeah, I think as far as stories and telling stories goes, the states would be the place to go. Plus, it's closer than maybe
Yeah,
going to England or New Zealand where they're doing really really cool stuff. You know,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I think as far as that is concerned, yeah, and
yeah,
I think a lot of directors are just starting here in Mexico to delve into new subject matter, to delve into new ways of telling stories, and I
yeah,
think that's fun. But it's gonna be a while before it
yeah,
picks up because the distribution chains here in Mexico and the theater chains and stuff like that, they're really into making their money, so they're
yeah,
not gonna put up like really independent films or stuff like that. They're gonna put up things that sell. So they're gonna
yeah,
have five. They're gonna have five showings of the Avengers, and they're just gonna put the little Mexican movie into one theater for a couple of weeks,
yeah,
and that's it. You know,
yeah.
that's
That
it.
makes sense.
And that's not really cool, but
Yeah,
we understand it's a business.
yeah,
People have to understand that it's also a business. So, you know, you have to, unless we do it like China, it's not going to happen real soon, you know?
yeah.
Because
No,
China only allows international movies like
yeah.
1 month of the whole year. Everything beyond that is just Chinese production. So,
And they got some beautiful stuff
oh,
coming out.
dude, come on.
Yeah. But I know Mexico in the last few, I mean, that I've been aware of, has come out with some beautiful horror
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Like Tigers Are Not Afraid, We Are Who We Are, the cannibal movie in
Yeah.
Mexico
Yeah. Yeah.
City.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there's like so many. I think Gigi Saul Guerrero is Lucha Gore. She has
Yeah.
her stuff coming out too, so it's really good to see that. But it's funny that it's genre films,
Yeah.
that are coming out. Um, and
You should check
it's
out. I have a friend of mine. He's a director here. It's called Isaac Esban.
hmm
He's a Mexican director. He has two features, like Mexican features right now. One of them is called The Incident. The other one's called The Similar. I think they're both on Netflix. And right now he came out with his first international feature. It's called Parallel. The trailer was out like a couple of weeks ago, and
nice.
it looks really interesting. I mean, they did that all in Toronto, I think. But yeah, but he's one of the ones that is pushing for genre, completely.
Yeah,
He does a lot of horror. He plays horror festivals. He does a lot of horror shorts and stuff like that. But he
yeah,
loves the sci-fi, and he loves his weird stuff going in. But it works, it's
yeah.
fun. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people do like it. But he's getting out there and he's trying new things, and I
Yeah,
think that's worth a lot.
that's worth everything, and I love
Yeah,
that. And that's what I want to see more stuff coming from down there because when you have almost every year the best director winning is not from the states, they're always from
yeah,
Mexico. It's just
yeah.
a trio. It's either
It's a sign.
Del
Yeah,
Toro, Cuaron, Iñárritu, like, and it's just on a rotation. It's just like when you have Mexican director winning, it was like maybe they should tell you something. Like there's something down there, the creativity. They had to bring their talents up here,
yeah,
but you know what? Like there's a lot of talent coming from down
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And I want to see more of that. I know that they're trying to get more coming out. Gael has I
Yeah,
think he has a production company. I think Diego Luna, I think they're partners, aren't they?
they're
Or something
partners.
like
I
that.
think they're partners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so like it's good to see that. And I really want to see more of that
yeah.
come
I
up.
mean, check out. You can check out a lot of Netflix and a lot of Amazon. They have a lot of shows on there that's mostly Mexican created, and
Yeah.
they've both been really good platforms to showcase Mexican talent
Yep.
because relatively they're not easy to get into, but they're a lot more open to that.
Yep.
I went to a Netflix workshop here, in Mexico City, but um, where I got to talk face to face with the head of programming for Latin American originals. So, and
hmm
he's like, "Oh, dude, we can receive anything from like a paragraph to a whole pitch to a whole Bible of a show, and we'll look at it and we'll talk to you and we'll see if we can get it made." I mean, that's unheard of. When can you get to the
Yeah.
head of
Yeah.
programming for anything in the States that
Yeah.
quick, right?
Yeah.
And here I have his card right here. I'm like, dude, okay, fine. I mean, you can write something real quick and you can shoot it over to them and they'll help you through it because they know that there's a lot of Latin talent it just needs
Yeah.
a platform. It
Yeah.
just needs a platform to go on and, they can throw a couple of $1,000s on it and it's going to work. And,
Yeah.
and people are going to make it work because the budgets down here in Mexico are a lot slimmer than in the States. So, and we
Yeah.
can do a lot more with little money. So
Absolutely.
it's an advantage to some point. I mean, the Blumhouse thing, it was happening in Mexico before Blumhouse did
Yeah. Oh
it.
yeah. No, yeah, no, that's so true. Well, man, this has been awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad we got to catch up and talk about it. Like I said,
Anytime,
like
bro. Yeah.
we bonded over film, and it was just one of those things. I'm glad we kept in touch with each other,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
we'll
yeah.
we'll do this again because maybe like we could have like just an episode talking about certain, just a theme,
Yeah, look, this was improvised and it came
This
out
is
well. So
yeah, it's super awesome. Can we find you on social media anywhere? You
uh
have beautiful photography, so you better drop your IG.
yeah, it's at by underscore Ivan Zapata. That's
Okay.
that's me on Instagram. I don't really have that much on Facebook or anything, but Instagram I'm up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful pictures. Thank you again, everybody, for watching, listening. This has been a great conversation. You can always find me on Instagram at Jorge's Isolation Podcast. Yeah, everybody, go download it, share it, subscribe on YouTube. I'm gonna probably get as big as Watch Mojo after this, but we'll see. But
No doubt, brother. No doubt. Just
but
keep
thank
doing what
you.
you're doing, man.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. But
Yeah.
thank you again. And everybody, have a good one. Take care.
All right.